The Conservatives are saying this morning they have a solution to the problem of migrants working while awaiting asylum claims, which they're generally not allowed to do. Let's talk to Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, who's on the line. Morning to you.
Good morning.
The solution is what?
Well, I think one of the parts of the solution is to say that if someone claiming asylum works illegally, then their asylum claim should be disbarred. It's quite clear that the current government hasn't got a grip of this situation. When I visited an asylum hotel in central London a few weeks ago, I found in the bike compound next to the hotel loads and loads of bikes with Deliveroo, Uber Eats and Just Eat panniers attached to them. The story is the same at hundreds of asylum hotels around the country. There is rampant illegal working going on. They're not from the very hotels that the government is running using taxpayers' money. So what they're doing is not effective. This measure, I think, would strongly deter people claiming asylum from working illegally, because if they know their asylum claim will get rejected if they work illegally, that will obviously, I think, persuade people not to do it.
Except they're still not going anywhere. Say someone from Afghanistan is caught doing this and they're told, OK, you can't now have asylum. What happens to them?
Well, this is why you need a scheme like the previous government's Rwanda one, because there are some nationalities, and you've mentioned one of them, where it is harder to return people. Although I would say that some European countries, I think now including Germany and others, are actually returning people to Afghanistan. But where it is difficult to return people for one reason or another, you do need another option. And the last government had that option. They arranged a deal with Rwanda, as we know. And this is one of the reasons why the Labour government's decision to cancel that with no replacement plan was such a foolish error, because it does make those returns more difficult. It also means that you can't return everybody who's crossing the channel. And it's a slightly separate point, but we also think everybody who crosses the channel illegally should get returned either to their country of origin or to another third country like Rwanda to deter those crossings, whereas the Labour government's deal that came into force yesterday only sees 6% of those illegal crossers getting returned, and that's obviously no deterrent at all, because 94% can stay in the UK.
Does that mean that you have effectively ditched commitment to the European Convention on Human Rights? Because you're not going to get that through the courts, are you? Particularly the European courts. So, I mean, and there is an ongoing, we keep being told that Kemi Badenoch's looking into it and she's minded to commit the party to withdrawing, etc. I mean, if you're suggesting the things you're suggesting this morning, they would not work, would they, with continuing membership of the convention?
Well, 2 points. Firstly, we've already said we should repeal the Human Rights Act in relation to immigration matters. That's the act that essentially gives the ECHR domestic legal force, and judges in the UK have stretched the definitions beyond common sense. So we should repeal the Human Rights Act for immigration matters straight away. As you said, we're reviewing whether we need to go one step further and come out of the ECHR, the European Convention on Human Rights, entirely. If we need to do that to make possible the kind of policies I've mentioned, and things like deporting every single foreign criminal, not some foreign criminals, but all foreign criminals, then we are prepared to leave. And we're going to get a report from David Wolfson, an eminent barrister, in the next few weeks that will tell us whether that extra step is necessary. But if it is necessary, we will definitely take it.
We had the Tony Blair Institute on the programme the other morning saying we need digital ID cards. I mean, basically a reintroduction of that idea that existed under Tony Blair's government, didn't in the end get anywhere for privacy considerations, etc. Is that for you? I mean, you're not going to commit yourself one way or the other this morning, but is it for you now that a live issue, something that's at least on the table to be thought about?
Well, I think any government of this country has to be prepared to do whatever it takes to protect our borders from illegal migration. We've seen this year so far, 2025, has been the worst year in history for illegal immigrants crossing the channel, partly because the government, the Labour government, cancelled the Rwanda scheme with no replacement.
So are ID cards in the mix of policy that you might think about?
Well, I think it is certainly something we should be considering very carefully. I think there is a very strong case to say that if someone is trying to make a claim from the state, which other taxpayers fund, for example, claiming benefits, using the NHS, something like that, then I think there is a very strong case to say you should have to prove your identity if you are using a service that taxpayers pay for. Now, to go one step beyond that and say there should be compulsory universal ID cards does get you into questions around civil liberties and personal freedom, and is that excessive intrusion by the state on the one hand, against knowing exactly who everybody is on the other. That is, I think that's a legitimate and valid debate to have, and I think any responsible party should think about it very carefully.
Chris Philp, Shadow Home Secretary, thank you.